The year is 1290, a small village in central France. A farmer sits at a rough wooden table after a long morning in the fields. Before him rests a thick slice of dark bread, dense, coarse, substantial. Beside it, a wooden cup filled with beer. Not the beer you imagine. A thin, cloudy liquid with barely enough alcohol to preserve it. He eats slowly. There is no rush. When the bread is gone and the cup is empty, he returns to work. There will be no snack in an hour, no second helping waiting in reserve. This is what eating looks like. Bread, beer, the foundations of his daily diet. By modern standards, this man should be overweight, perhaps obese. He consumes what we've been told are the most dangerous foods: carbohydrates, alcohol, grain-based calories, in quantities that would alarm any contemporary nutritionist. And yet, he is lean. His wife is lean. His children are lean. The entire village is lean. Not because they're starving, not because food is unavailable, but because something about their relationship with food operates on principles we have almost entirely forgotten. They ate what we're told causes obesity, and yet obesity barely existed. Welcome to the medieval advantage. I'm glad you're here. On this channel, we don't romanticize the past. We don't pretend medieval life was better or healthier in every way. We don't offer diet advice or lifestyle prescriptions. What we do is investigate. We look at historical patterns that contradict modern assumptions and ask uncomfortable questions about what changed and whether progress is always what it appears to be. Today's investigation centers on one of the most puzzling contradictions in nutritional history. Let's start with what modern people believe. Bread is fattening. We've absorbed this message from decades of diet culture. Carbohydrates spike insulin, promote fat storage, and drive weight gain. Whole aisles of supermarkets now offer low-carb alternatives to the bread our ancestors considered essential. Beer is worse. Empty calories, liquid carbohydrates. The term beer belly has become shorthand for what happens when you consume too much of it. And calories themselves are the fundamental problem. Consume more than you burn, and you gain weight. This is presented as immutable physics, as basic as gravity. By this logic, medieval peasants, eating bread at every meal, drinking beer throughout the day, consuming diets dominated by exactly the foods we're warned against, should have been struggling with the same obesity epidemic we face today. But they weren't. Obesity in medieval Europe was extraordinarily rare, not non-existent. Wealthy merchants and clergy sometimes grew corpulent. The condition was recognized and even depicted in art, but almost always as a sign of elite excess. Among common people, the farmers, craftsmen, labourers and families who made up the vast majority of the population, obesity barely registered. These people ate bread daily, drank beer constantly, and remained lean across generations. This was not because they were starving. Food scarcity occurred certainly. Famines struck periodically, but in ordinary years common people ate adequately. They consumed enough calories to perform demanding physical labour day after day. They were not underfed by necessity. Something else was operating, something about how they ate, what they ate, and the context surrounding their eating that produced fundamentally different outcomes than modern consumption of seemingly identical foods. Let's begin with bread. The bread on that French farmer's table was not the bread you buy at a grocery store. It wasn't even close. Modern bread is made from refined flour, grain stripped of its bran and germ, leaving only the starchy endosperm. This flour produces soft, white, quickly digested bread that converts to blood sugar almost as rapidly as pure glucose. Medieval bread was made from stone-ground flour. The entire grain was crushed between massive stones, preserving the fibre, oils and nutrients that modern milling removes. The result was denser, coarser and darker bread that required genuine chewing and digested slowly over hours. But the flour itself was only part of the difference. Medieval bread was almost universally fermented. What we now call sourdough wasn't a specialty product. It was simply how bread was made. Wild yeasts and bacteria worked on the dough for extended periods, breaking down compounds that modern quick-rise methods leave intact. This fermentation transformed the bread at a chemical level. It reduced phytic acid, which can interfere with mineral absorption. It created organic acids that slowed glucose release into the bloodstream. It produced a food that nourished steadily rather than spiking and crashing. The fiber content alone made medieval bread a fundamentally different metabolic experience. Modern white bread contains almost no fiber. Medieval bread was dense with it, the kind of rough, substantial fiber that feeds gut bacteria, slows digestion, and promotes lasting satiety. A medieval peasant eating bread felt full for hours. A modern person eating the same number of calories in refined bread feels hungry again within 60 minutes. This is not a small difference. It changes everything about how bodies respond to food. Medieval bread was fuel. It sustained labour. It provided steady energy across long working days. It was not designed for pleasure, not optimised for taste, not engineered to override satiety signals. It was honest food doing honest work. Now consider beer. Modern beer is a recreational beverage. It contains significant alcohol, typically 4 to 6% or higher. We drink it for enjoyment, for relaxation, for social lubrication. We drink it in quantities that provide substantial calories beyond any nutritional purpose. Medieval beer, the beer consumed daily by common people, was something else entirely. It was called small beer. The alcohol content was minimal, often below 2%. It was not intoxicating in any practical sense. Children drank it, workers drank it throughout the day. It was consumed the way we consume water or coffee. Why did they drink it instead of water? Because water was often unsafe. Without modern sanitation, drinking from wells or streams risked illness. The brewing process, boiling and fermentation, made beer safer than the available alternatives. Small beer was a hydration strategy, not a recreational choice. The beer also contained nutrients that modern beer often lacks. The grains were less processed. The brewing methods were simpler. What emerged was closer to liquid bread than to the refined, filtered beverages we consume today. Medieval people didn't drink beer to get drunk. They drank it to live. The difference matters enormously. Eating itself was structured in ways that have completely disappeared from modern life. There was no snacking culture. The concept barely existed. Food preparation was labour-intensive. You didn't open a cabinet and grab something convenient. Every meal required effort, fire, preparation, time. Most people ate 2 or 3 times per day at fixed intervals. Breakfast was minimal or non-existent. A midday meal sustained afternoon labour. An evening meal ended the day. Between these points, you simply didn't eat. This wasn't discipline. It wasn't willpower. It was the structure of life itself. Food wasn't constantly available, so constant eating wasn't possible. The meals that did occur were tied directly to labour. You ate to work. The energy you consumed was spent within hours. There was no accumulation, no surplus building slowly into stored fat. And crucially, there were natural rhythms of scarcity built into the year. Not starvation, but variation. Harvest months brought abundance. Late winter brought leanness. The body adapted to these cycles, burning stored reserves during thin periods, rebuilding during plenty. Modern eating has eliminated every one of these structures. We eat constantly. Snacks are available everywhere. Preparation requires seconds. We consume calories at every hour of the day, from waking until moments before sleep. There are no lean periods, no cycles, no variation. The body never needs to access its reserves because reserves are never necessary. Energy output tells the rest of the story. The medieval farmer didn't exercise. He didn't need to. His life was exercise. Walking was the primary mode of transportation. He walked to his fields. He walked to the village. He walked to church, to market, to visit neighbours. Miles accumulated daily without intention or effort. Physical labor filled most waking hours. Digging, lifting, carrying, harvesting, work that demanded constant muscular engagement. His body burned calories continuously, not in scheduled bursts, but as the background condition of existence. Cold exposure added another demand. Without central heating, the body worked constantly to maintain temperature. Calories that modern bodies store as fat were burned simply to stay warm through long winter months. The medieval body was adapted to use fuel, not to store it. Energy came in through food. Energy went out through movement, labor, and thermoregulation. The balance was maintained automatically by the structure of life itself. Modern life has inverted this equation. We sit for hours. We move only when we intentionally exercise. Our environments are temperature controlled year-round. The calories we consume have nowhere to go. We eat like we're preparing for harvests. We move like we're already exhausted. The mismatch is not subtle. Perhaps most importantly, medieval food was honest. There were no food scientists engineering maximum palatability. No laboratories testing which combinations of sugar, salt and fat override satiety signals. No products designed to make you eat past fullness without realizing it. Food tasted like food. Some of it was good, some of it was bland. None of it was chemically optimized to hijack your brain's reward systems. Hunger signals worked the way evolution designed them. You ate when hungry, you stopped when full. The food itself didn't fight against your body's natural regulation. This is the piece we most struggle to see. Modern ultra-processed food is engineered for overconsumption. This isn't conspiracy, it's business strategy. Food companies employ scientists specifically to create products that maximize eating. When you overeat modern food, you're not weak, you're not lacking willpower, you're responding exactly as the food was designed to make you respond. Medieval people weren't more disciplined. Their food simply didn't attack them. Here is the deeper insight that most discussions of obesity miss entirely. Obesity is not just about food, it's about environmental alignment. The medieval body existed in an environment that matched its evolutionary design. Movement was constant, eating was structured, food was honest. Sleep followed natural darkness. Stress was acute and situational, not chronic and ambient. Every system aligned. The modern body exists in an environment that conflicts with its design at nearly every point. Movement is optional. Eating is continuous. Food is engineered for overconsumption. Light is constant. Stress never resolves. Nothing aligns. In this context, weight gain isn't a personal failure. It's a predictable response to an environment that actively promotes it. Modern people overeat not because they're gluttonous, but because every signal in their environment pushes them to overeat. They store fat not because their metabolisms are broken, but because their bodies are responding rationally to conditions that no longer make sense. Let me be clear about what this is not. This is not anti-bread propaganda. Bread can be part of healthy eating. The question is, what kind of bread? In what context? Within what larger pattern of life? This is not anti-modern medicine. Nutritional. Science has produced genuine insights. Medical interventions save lives. Progress is real. This is not saying medieval life was healthier overall. It wasn't. People died from diseases we now prevent easily. Childbirth was dangerous. Injuries that we treat routinely were often fatal. This is about context, about recognizing that foods don't exist in isolation, that bodies don't exist in isolation, that the environment surrounding eating matters as much as the eating itself. Let's return to that French farmhouse. The table is cleared now. The bread is gone. The beer is finished. The family returns to work, then to rest, then to sleep when darkness falls. They don't count calories. They don't measure macros. They don't feel guilty about what they've eaten or anxious about what they'll eat tomorrow. Food is simply part of life, not a problem to be solved, not an enemy to be fought, not a source of moral judgment. What would it mean to eat like that again? Not the specific foods, but the relationship. Not the medieval diet, but the medieval simplicity. What would it mean to live in a body that wasn't constantly fighting its environment? These questions don't have easy answers, but they point towards something important, something we lost so gradually we didn't notice it disappearing. Thank you for watching this video. I genuinely appreciate you spending this time thinking through these ideas with me. If you value long-form, thoughtful exploration of what modern life has quietly abandoned, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the Medieval Advantage channel. Your support makes this work possible. In the next video, we'll explore another forgotten pattern: how medieval communities structured physical movement into daily life, and why our separation of exercise from living may be costing us more than we realize. I'll see you in the next one.